There are dozens of Apple Watch faces, and some good ones. Every time I see somebody wearing an Apple Watch, I always try to scope out what watch face they use. And 9 times out of 10, it's either modular or photos, and they're wearing a sport band. So today we're going to try and figure out if there are any hidden gems by making an Apple Watch face tier list. So we're just going to go in alphabetical order, starting with number 1, activity. This one comes in 3 variations: digital, analog, and uglier analog. And the idea here is that you get to keep an eye on your activity rings throughout the day. I mean, personally, I turned off all those notifications for remember to stand, remember to close your exercise ring, remember to breathe, because I found all those notifications annoying. But, I know some people get really into this. You don't want to lose your activity streak. So, this one's fine. I give it a C tier. Artist. So this one is a bunch of cartoon faces. It mixes and matches through a bunch of preset styles, so every time you raise your wrist, you never know what you're going to get. And as a side note, people have been asking for custom watch faces since the very first Apple Watch. And instead, this is what we get. F tier, astronomy. So this is the first in a series of watch faces that all serve the purpose of, I really like the idea of the photos face, but I don't know how to take good pictures. So if that's how you feel and you're also a space nerd, you can use this one. And admittedly, it does pair very nicely with the astronomy lock screen on the iPhone. B tier, breathe. So this one comes in a variety of styles, all of which have these pulsing animations that are timed to your breath so that you're supposed to calm down and take a moment to relax. And I have to admit, even though they don't have a digital one, I think they look really cool. B tier, California. This is a really customizable sort of watch face. By default, it's an interesting sort of style with Roman numerals on top but numbers on bottom, except for the 3, 6, 9, and 12. Or you can customize it to have Roman numerals all over, or numbers, or Devanagari, or Chinese symbols. And you can have it full screen, or just a circle with 4 corner complications, or you can change the color. So, it's pretty neat. C tier. Chronograph. This is another analog watch face, but it has a trick up its sleeve because it has a built-in stopwatch. I'm giving it F tier because there's also Chronograph Pro, which does basically the same thing. I don't understand why there are 2. You don't need 2. Chronograph Pro is the same but better. B tier. Color. So here's the deal. We're only in the C's, and I'm already getting tired of all of these analog watch faces with the 4 corner complications. We still have many more to go, and out of all of them, this is objectively the most boring. I mean, come on. D tier. Contour. So I should objectively give this the same rating as color, except this one has a stretchy variable typeface that goes around the edge. And I'm nothing if not a sucker for variable typefaces. A tier. Count up. This is yet another variation of the chronograph typeface, and I legitimately don't understand how it works. But it does have dots in a little circle around the middle, and I think that looks kind of fun. D tier. Fire and water. It plays a little animation of fire or water. I don't know why this one exists. D tier. GMT. This one shows you your local time zone on the watch hands, but also a second time zone of your own choosing with an extra watch hand around the outer edge. It definitely has a learning curve, which is my way of covering up the fact that I don't entirely understand how it works, but I give it a solid C tier. Gradient. This is another nondescript analog watch face, but it has a cool trick with these gradients where like a gradient represents the second hand instead of actually showing a second hand. I think it looks kind of cool, but not enough to bring it up higher than C tier. Infograph. So this watch face packs on an astonishing 8 complications. So it's no surprise that it is the personal watch face of choice of none other than Apple CEO Tim Cook. Now I know what you're wondering. What complications does Tim Cook use? Well, on the outer edge, he has pretty standard ones. Stocks, obviously set to Apple stock. Temperature, workout, and activity. He likes to keep an eye on his rings. But on the inside is where it gets a little weird. Blood oxygen, interesting, and ECG. Look, I know this guy's in his 60s, but the dude is in incredible shape. How many times a day does Tim Cook need to take an ECG that he needs, one-click access from his watch face? All that is to say that there's a lot you can do with this one, and I have to respect that. A tier, Kaleidoscope. You can use your own pictures, or you can use one of Apple's built-in Kaleidoscope images. And there are so many really gorgeous images that you can choose from. The jewels have the same sort of like abstract vibe as, you know, those I Spy picture books with how they're laid out and everything. You have these abstract works of art, these beautiful flowers. But here's the thing. I would rather just use any of these as pictures instead of turning them into a kaleidoscope. I don't like them as a kaleidoscope. I don't understand kaleidoscopes. I don't see the point of them. I never have. D tier. Liquid metal. Because I've always wanted to look at my wrist and see a pool of brown water. F tier. Lunar. This one shows you in gratuitous detail the current phase of the moon and the lunar calendar. And you have room for 4 complications. C tier. Memoji. You can pick one of these characters, and every time you look at your wrist, you'll see a fun little animation. Or you can have it select them randomly. So on one hand, this is a much better use of Memoji than whatever the hell it is you're supposed to do with them in iMessage. On the other hand, it's definitely a red flag if you meet someone and their watch face is a cartoon version of their own face. C tier. Meridian. I legitimately cannot believe that I haven't already done this one. Why are there so many basic analog watch faces? F tier. Metropolitan. Here we have yet another really cool analog watch face, but this one is totally different from the last 37 because it has a trick up its sleeve. You can tap on the watch face and spin the digital crown, and you'll see the numbers get all stretchy. You can make them really tall and skinny or really short and wide. And you know how I like variable typefaces, but my patience for these is running out, so I only give it a C tier. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. I hear that if you go to Disneyland and you don't have your watch set to the Mickey Mouse watch face, you get shot. C tier. Modular. So I know at the beginning I was kind of making fun of the modular watch face because it's the one that everybody uses, but you know what? Everybody uses it for a reason. It's a really good watch face. You have the time front and center with room for all these complications, although I highly encourage you to, swap them out for your own. So I'm giving it an A tier. Modular compact. I really want to like this one because I find modular to be a bit cluttered, and the idea behind modular compact is that they reduce the number of complications so that you have more room for a slightly bigger clock. But then they waste that space by making a really stupid digital clock. They have room for the seconds, but instead of just having a normal digital second counter, it's a circle that the clock sits inside of, which means that the font size on modular compact is actually smaller than on the regular modular watch face. I can't get over that, so I only give it a demotion to a B tier. Modular Duo. This gives you room for 2 big complications and 1 small complication next to the time. But I really wish there was an option to have the time in the center instead of squished up in the top, so I give it a B tier. Motion. This one has slow motion video of flowers and jellyfish and butterflies. It's fine, I guess. At least it's not another analog watch face. C tier. Nike Analog. Why are the numbers all squished together? I don't like that. It feels all claustrophobic. You know? It's just a normal analog watch face, except it's in the Nike font. D tier. Nike Bounce. This one is really plain and simple, except it has a gimmick. You can shake your wrist or you can tap the numbers on screen to make them jiggle and wiggle and bounce, like the Super Mario 64 title screen. And anything that reminds me of Super Mario 64 gets bonus points, so I upgrade it to B tier. Nike Compact. This one is exactly like Modular Compact, except it uses the Nike font. C tier. Nike Digital. I actually really like this one. You can replace the complications with your own so you don't have to see the Nike logo. And it's kind of interesting how it has the complications on the side instead of top and bottom. A tier. But then we have Nike Globe. This one reminds me of the Casio G-Shock watch in the worst way possible. I don't like it. I don't know why it is the way that it is. F tier. Nike Hybrid. This one has a bunch of different designs, none of which you can convince me are ones I haven't already graded. I cannot tell the difference between any of these anymore. D tier. Numerals. I really love this one. I cannot tell you why, but out of all the boring drab analog watch faces, this is the one that works for me. The rest of them suck. You have the giant hour number, you have a vague idea of the time with the minute hand. This is a really good weekend or, casual watch face when you don't need to know the exact time. You can run it with a complication, but honestly, I run it completely blank. S tier. I'm not kidding. Numerals Duo, this is the very simple digital equivalent to that. A tier. Numerals Mono. Now this one is where they go over the line. They got too excited and they just went and made the numbers altogether too big. It's genuinely kind of hard to read with the hour hands and minute hands overlaid on top of the numbers. It's too much. D tier. Palette. This is yet another basic analog watch face, except instead of picking one color, you get to pick several colors that you don't even get to choose individually. Whoop-de-freaking do. D tier. Photos. I mean, there it is. It's the photos watch face. You pick a photo and it appears behind the clock. Some people like to have fun with weird or interesting designs that, kind of play with the clock element to make a sad attempt at custom watch faces. But it's the photos watch face, whatever. It's a C tier. Portraits. This is mostly the same as the photos watch face, except it picks the pictures for you. So every time you raise your wrist, you'll see friends or family or pets with the best pictures of them. And it has a little simple trick where it overlays them slightly on top of the clock, which, I'm a sucker for simple tricks like that. I think it's pretty cool. B tier. Pride. I mean, come on. It's the gay watch face. A tier. Playtime. This is another objectively pointless kind of watch face, but I have to say that unlike the artist one, I really like this one. It's really silly. B tier. Simple. Another analog watch face, except this time it doesn't have any numbers on it. D tier. Siri. This one is actually really handy. It used to be my personal watch face. The idea here is that you have a scrollable list of widgets and live activities that appear and change throughout the day based on what's most relevant to you at the time, like if you have a timer running or if it's the end of the day and you want to read the news. Except now every watch face does that since watchOS 10, so the Siri watch face is now completely pointless. F tier. Snoopy. This is another cartoon watch face with a different animation every time you raise your wrist, except there are literally hundreds of animations, all of which will perfectly line up with the watch hands, no matter what time of day it is. It's genuinely incredible. And it has another cool gimmick, because just like how newspapers would print black and white throughout the week, and then in full color on Sunday, the background will be gray Monday through Saturday, but a random color on Sunday. I think that's just great. A tier. Solar. Now this one looks kind of ridiculous with the two-tone color scheme, and that it has both a 12-hour and a 24-hour clock that run in opposite directions of each other, one with like a little sun that moves around the outer edge. It's kind of a gimmick, but I like it. B tier. Solar analog. No thank you. D tier. Stripes is another basic analog watch face, except you get to pick the colors, and you get to pick the number of colors, and you get to pick the angle, and it's another D tier. Time-lapse. Hey, it's okay if you've never traveled anywhere. You can just use the time-lapse face and pretend it's the photos face. C tier. Toy Story. So I turned this watch face on and I was tapping through all of the different animations for a good 5 minutes or so. You get to see Woody and Buzz and Jessie and the dinosaur guy and the pig one. But look, all I want is a version of this watch face that's just the Pixar ball bouncing around. I want to see the Pixar ball. C tier. Typograph. So this one reminds me of like one of those quizzes where you have to click on the word that's the color, but the word is written in the wrong color, and you have to do that as fast as you can. Because here you have a watch face where there are giant prominent numbers, but the actual time is being told by these really tiny watch hands in the middle of the screen. Like, hey, quick, what time is it? 12:63. Fuck. F tier. Unity. I just think these ones look really neat. Heck, even the analog one. B tier. Utility. You see, this watch face is totally different from this one, and this variation of the utility face is totally different from this other one because the circle around the outside has these little dots on it. S tier. No, I'm just kidding. D tier. Vapor. So this is what happens when you boil the liquid metal watch face, and then you get some kind of obscure lung disease that'll make your doctor go, really? F tier. World time. Yo dog, I heard you like clocks. We went and put every clock around the world into one clock. And we put a globe on there for good measure. B tier. Last one. Let's see what kind of note we end on. X large. This one is exactly like Numerals Duo, except less fun. D tier. So that is the final tier list. My opinions are final, they are immutable, and they are objectively correct. So what have we learned today? I don't really know. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Calls of Mac.